Hi everyone. Today I wanted to just kind of go through some of the basics of scripting. I'm still new to this, so I'm learning too, but I wanted to share some of my insights after having messed around with it a little bit. So it's not as easy as it sounds, at least for me it wasn't. And I do have a little bit of experience with programming, so some of those concepts came to me pretty well, but just wanted to kind of walk through what some of these things do that you have to do for scripting in order to, help people kind of get that head start on learning it. So, uh, first thing I guess that I learned is you have to have a script brain. So a lot of the time, if you open up a new script, it's going to just auto create one, but we'll just create one for fun. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here, sorry, I'm still learning these controls too. I'm going to actually change the name here we're going to call this elevator. And we're going to use this for an elevator. So this right here, it doesn't really matter where you have it. However, you can use it as one of your points, which I think I'm going to do here. So what I'm going to do is put this, well, we'll kind of adjust that later, but I'm going to actually use it as one of my points instead of having an extra pointer. So if you have an object highlighted and then you come in here to the node graph, right now I have nothing on my canvas, so I'm actually going to go here and add an object reference. You can see that we have elevator. If I zoom all the way out, I can kind of put it where I want on my canvas. Um, One thing you'll learn is you kind of have to do your best to keep organized because it's pretty easy to lose track of where things are. But right now we're just going to throw that right there. We're going to leave it there. That's kind of having that made is what lets us go ahead and do like a script. So next thing we're going to do, I like to kind of start with the visual stuff first. So I'm going to come in here and um, we're going to make a platform that we're going to use for our elevator. Okay, so I grabbed this. I'm just going to kind of bring it up here close where we want it. You'll want to get it all exact and everything. I'm not going to spend all the time for right now, but and then I'm going to actually drop it down to where I want my starting point for the elevator is. So let's put it, you know what, let's put it pretty close in the floor there. Why not? Okay, so we've got our platform, and then we're also going to need a button that lets us start the elevator, which you'll kind of learn where things are at here in the menu, but it's in the scripting areas where you're going to get buttons, which for fun, let's just do an invisible button. And we're not going to get super complicated with this. I actually did make a much more complicated version of elevators. But just for the sake of getting started and learning, we're going to just do this. Keep in mind, there's probably way better ways to do all of these things that I'm going to show you, but I just want to show you the basics. So while I have my button highlighted, I'm going to go back into my node graph. Right now, my button's not here, but since I have it highlighted, I can add it in. So you notice if you zoom in, scriptable switch invisible, kind of helps you keep track of what you got going on. Um, so I'm going to actually move that up here because it's kind of starting on the left of my whole section. So first things first, we're going to want to we're going to add something that's called on object interacted. So we have a switch, but we're going to have to tell it we want it to do something when that switch is pushed. So if you come here in your menu, I believe that one's under event custom. Yes, so on object interacted. And I'm actually going to use the mouse for, I keep switching back and forth with Xbox controller and mouse, but this is really hard to use Xbox controllers. Um, so the first thing we want here, we've got our, we're telling it we want something to happen when the object is interacted with. Next thing we need to do is we actually need to get our object that we're wanting to move. So I'm going to back out here. I'm going to select our platform, and you won't be able to move anything that is in static. So you got to switch it to dynamic. And there we go. So we got it dynamic. We got it highlighted. So when we go back into our node graph, on the controller, you hit Y and you can add it in, and you notice it says UNSC vehicle bridge. So that's our object we're going to be using to move. So I'm going to kind of put it over here because we'll have a few other things we're going to be adding in. The first thing is we're going to want to be able to make the elevator go up and down, and so logically that's going to require in what the game calls a branch. Okay, so let's grab a branch node, which I think it was down here in logic. Okay, so this branch, basically how this works, let me zoom in just a little bit. You're going to give it a condition through the back here, and then what it's going to do is it's going to basically just say, is the condition true or false? If it's true, it goes and does whatever line we attach up here. If it's false, it does the line down there. So pretty simple. It just checks if something's true or false. So we want our path to kind of flow. Once you interact with the object, we want you to come in here and do the branch, check if it's true or false. I mean, if you think about it, the relationship to the elevator, it's going to be like up or down, which it doesn't really matter which one we select is up or down, but that's what it's going to be. So here on the condition, okay, we have to start out with a condition. So there's a declare Boolean variable that is what we're going to use to basically start out with a condition. The other thing is we need to have something that stores that condition. So we're going to start out with probably like a true, okay? We need something that stores that it's true. That's called a variable in programming. So let's grab those. So the first thing is let's get the declare. So declare is down here in variables advance. Declare Boolean variable, okay. And so something that's not immediately clear, that's good to know though, is when you're on one of these nodes, you can actually come over and change some of the settings on them. Certain nodes have different things, but this one, first thing is, oh, we're not declaring an identifier. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I grabbed the wrong one. Let's get, okay. Scratch that. I said the right thing and I grabbed the wrong one. We want declare. So it was the very first one. My bad. All right. Okay. So we're going to go back in here to the menu. And what we want to do, we're going to initially value this as true. And thing is, if we get sometimes if we get our logic backwards, we can just come back in and change these to false or whatever we need to do. It's not a big deal. So you just start out with something, and if it's not working, you kind of tweak it. Scope here, this is important because, and I don't understand, I haven't done a lot with this, but I know that global means that this is going to work for everything across the board, where local and object are like different levels of where this variable is going to be used. So it's kind of hard to explain, but we're just going to click global. So it's going to work with anything that we're working with. And then the next thing we're going to want to add is identifier. So I'm trying to remember where this one's at. I think it's in variables basic. Yep. So this is a variables basic. We want identifier. This is going to allow us to store the true and false. So I'm going to bring this one over here. And actually, let's reorder these. I like it up here like this. So we got our identifier, and we're gonna go ahead and hook our identifier up here. So what this declaring Boolean variable is, it's telling us we want to start everything out with an initial value of true. It's going to store it right here. As we do things here, we're going to tell it to come back and change this. So it'll change it back and forth between true and false based on what's happening. But we needed somewhere to store it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually get it. So we have to get what's stored here with a special node for getting. So come back down here to the advanced, and that's our get. Okay, this is the one I grabbed wrong earlier. All right, so first off, we want to come in here and update the scope so that's global as well. So just change it over to global. There we go. Oh, I just backed all the way out. That's fine. It saves what you did. So if you accidentally back out like that, you're fine. It's going to have everything. So here we're going to plug it into the identifier spot. So we're initially starting out with true. It's being stored here. This is going to come and get whatever's in here when we need it. And so I'm actually going to plug that into our branch. So initially when we first interact with this object or with this switch, it's going to check, hey, the object was interacted with. It's going to come down. It's going to go all the way back to check the condition. It's going to start out true. So what's going to happen when it's true? Let's grab another node that is it's called move object to transform. So I think it's here. Yeah, in the object transform, grab move object to transform. So this is a node that's basically going to tell our platform to move up or down, and we're actually going to end up getting two of these. Let me arrange these a little bit different. Here we go. So first thing is we're gonna use this as our true one. This was part that was kind of weird for me because I didn't realize you could connect this circle to this diamond. I guess it just didn't come across clearly, but most of these are you're connecting circles to circles and diamonds to diamonds. So just be aware that there are some that will let you connect like that. Also be aware a lot of these won't let you connect to things that it doesn't make sense to connect it to. So it does help you out that way. Okay, so we've got this, and what we're going to do, we're going to edit the settings on this one, because when we tell it to move, we're going to tell it, in this case, let's tell it to move up our little gap in 1.5 seconds. So if we did 6 seconds, it's going to move super slowly because it's going to take 6 seconds to get up to the top. If we do 0.5 seconds, it's going to be super fast. It's probably going to throw you off or make it hard to get on and stay on. So you want to find something that works. You can mess around with the timing on it. Movement type. So this is really cool. There's all sorts of different movement types. I haven't messed with all of them. Circular actually will turn the object as it goes to where it wants to go. For the sake of our elevator, we probably just want this one at the bottom, which is linear. It's just going to go from point A to point B in a straight line. Okay, so let's back out of that. And then we're going to need another one here for the other way that we're going to go. So I'm going to actually duplicate this, which means we'll be able to keep our settings. But let me grab it like this. Okay, so we'll actually move it down just a little. So we're going to connect our false one this way. And all right, so the next thing is we need an object for this to, like a location for it to go. And so that's the part where it starts kind of getting a little tricky, but I'll show you what to do. What we're going to want is we're going to get a pointer for this. Actually, no, you know what? We have our object reference. I put the brain up high. So we're actually going to use the brain for this top one. So I'm going to connect the brain to the object. So what it's going to do here, when we say true, it's going to go up here to move this direction. It's going to say, where's the object that we're moving to? And, oh, you know what? I connected this to the wrong spot. My bad. This actually is destination object. Okay, so we want this to be our destination of where we go to. Our actual object to move was our bridge, so that's going to go up to the object one. So we want the bridge to start wherever it's at and move in a straight line up to our where our brain is. Okay, and so right now if we run this, let's actually run it because it'll be interesting to see what's going on. Um, just back out from here, okay? And you know what? I don't know where it's going to put us at. So I'm actually going to drop a teleporter right here because then if when we're doing our testing, we don't have to walk the whole way. So let's drop a teleporter, and it doesn't really matter where this is, but we're going to put it so that we're kind of facing where we want to be. Oh. There we go. Okay. All right. So we got our teleporter, we got our object, and we got our invisible button, and our brain's up there. So now when you're in Forge mode on controller, if you hold back, I think on the computer, if you hit F6, it'll start everything. So one thing you'll notice here in our global log at the top left, move object to transform node is missing. Um, that's because we added that second white box called move object to transform, didn't connect anything to it, so it's not going to work. We'll see, I think the part we have will probably work, but what I'm going to do before we start that is I'm going to just drop another teleporter here. Let's move it a little bit away from the spawn. That way when we actually start up, we can just teleport back over there. And so it's also important when you're in this play mode, if you go into Forge, you won't be able to do anything here. But let's just see what happens, see if this works. So I hit activate, and my elevator went up. I don't know if it offset or whatever, but we'll mess with that here in a second. But you notice how everything that we told it to do worked so far, making some progress, but we can't get it to go down. And right now, if we activate this button, it's going to try and put the elevator to where it's already at, so nothing's going to happen. So we gotta do some more work here. One thing I noticed, this brain is a little higher than the edge up there, so what we can do is we can move the brain down. We'll just move it to right there, and it'll probably end up a little closer to what we want. The other thing you can do to get things lined up pretty well is you can take a look at the coordinates on this object. So we're at, you know what I like to do here, and you can do whatever you want. I actually just like to use a screenshot tool and screenshot it for my other screen, and then I can look at it as I look at the other object, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my brain and I'm going to put it so that the x and y coordinates are the same. so it'll be lined up pretty well. So let's deselect everything, grab our brain, and we'll just edit the X and Y. So it's actually pretty close already. This one was 241.64, and this one was 128.85. Okay, so it should be lined up a little more for the next time we run it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, if we got the elevator to go up to the top, but we want to be able to make it so that that elevator will go back down if we run the button as well. So next steps, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab what's called a pointer, and I think you can use other stuff. Again, I'm still pretty new to this, so right now pointers what I'm planning on using. Um, and what we're going to do with the pointer is I want this pointer to be kind of at the location where the platform already is in the ground. So I'm actually going to just go in and edit the position to be the exact position as the platform. So again, my screenshot comes in handy. See, I grabbed a screenshot of it, of the other coordinates. Let's see. So we got 241.64. Y coordinate 128.85. And this time the Z coordinates how high or low it is. So we're going to do this as negative 21.47. Okay, so now you notice our pointer, we still have it selected, but it's now in the ground. So it's right where we want it to be. And since we have it selected still, we can go ahead and go back into our node graph. And let's go ahead and add it. So you notice this says object reference pointer. Perfect. Because we need a destination for our movement down. So we're going to connect that to our destination, and we're also going to connect another line from this object down to be the object here. So again, this is saying transform, which is move, and we're the object that we're transforming is this. The object we're transforming is this. So right now, we initialized everything as true. So every time we press the button, it's going to tell it true, and it's always going to do this. So we need something to tell it, hey, once you moved it up by it being true, let's switch this identifier to false, so that next time we press it, it'll go down. So that's where we're going to go next. So there's a node called set Boolean variable, which is, I think, in the advanced section down near the bottom. All right, set Boolean variable. There we go. So you'll notice there's a bunch of options. We're going to go ahead and set some of these. First thing, here, I'll just connect this over here. And again, so we're going true, so we want the top one to be false, so that it basically flips our Boolean, true or false, flips it the opposite of what it currently was. So go here in the settings, we're going to change it to global on the scope, and then we'll change this to false. Okay. And then what I'm going to actually do right now is duplicate, because we actually need another one, because anytime we set it to false here, then it's going to run everything again. It's going to hit false, it's going to come down here, and we're going to want it to then switch it back to true. So we're going to connect our one down here, and then we also need to change this one to true instead of false. And it's already set at global because it copied it when we copied it over. The other thing is right now we're just telling it to do this, but we're not actually connecting it to our identifier. So we need to grab the identifier button and pull that all the way over to where we're storing the true or false at. And then same thing down here. We need to pull it all the way over to where we're storing that true and false, because setting is we're changing what's currently stored to be something new, where our getting Boolean variable is just going and saying what's already stored there, let's grab that, whatever that value is. Okay. All right, let me just look this over. So we hit the switch. We're going to interact with, or once we interact with the switch, we're going to come up here and it's going to check the condition. So first things first, it's always going to be true. Okay. So we stored it there. We grabbed it from there, plugged it into the branch. It's going to go to the top branch. Move object to transform. We're going to move this object up to the brain. And then we're going to come over here and set the variable to go back over here. Now it's going to be false. Okay. So now if we come back in, do all the same things, it's going to go down the false route. We've got our destination, which is our bottom pointer. It's going to move everything and then it's going to set it back to true. So right now this should be a good setup for true and false. And then we'll watch this global log because we have everything connected now. When we go ahead and start it here in a second, you notice top left, our global log says node graph built successfully. There's no errors. So right now everything looks to be connected correctly. The question is it going to work the way we wanted it to? Well, I hope so. All right, so we got our invisible button. Come all the way up here. Hey, we landed perfectly flat. Well, there's a little bump here, but yeah. And the problem is with this whole method is our button is down there. Well, luckily this is a drop we can just jump down. It's not a big deal. But, you know, I designed a different elevator where we wanted the button to move with the elevator lift. And that gets a little more complicated because you essentially have to do the same exact thing, but do it to the button as well. So the button is moving up when the elevator moves up, and the button's moving down when the elevator moves down. But here's our moment of truth. And we probably put that button in the wrong spot because we can smash ourselves, but it worked. It came down, and we press it again, it goes right back up. So design-wise, this button placement is poor. The nice thing is everything's connected, so if I want to just move just this button and say, okay, let's put it over here in a, it's getting snagged on something. Let's put it over here in a safer location. Well, that's even still under. Let's put it out here, okay? This way it's safe. We're not underneath the lift. But the cool thing is everything's still connected, okay? So our button's over here now. We can't see it. But oh wait, we're not on the elevator. So you notice with elevators it gets kind of tricky. Okay, where'd my button go? Oh, here it is. Maybe I have to stand on it. So again, kind of bad design. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to go into all the complexity of trying to get the button to go up and down with it, but you can realize that a lot of these really simple tasks that we expect developers to just have it built and running perfectly, it's kind of complicated to get it all running. And so I just wanted to share with new forgers or anyone that's trying to get into the node building and programming within Forge, some of the basics of just doing a simple task like this. And there's other people out there that have these really awesome things that they're doing, and I hope that you guys, you know, get a taste for it for yourself, build some cool stuff, and share your really awesome builds. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and hope you have a good day.